out of all the mass shootings that have happened in America, the top 5 most deadly have happened since 2007. According to the CNN Deadliest Mass Shootings in Modern History Facts List, 3 of the last 5 have occurred in the past year. These include the shooting in Orlando at the gay nightclub, the Las Vegas shooting at Mandalay Bay, as well as the most recent shooting in Sutherland Springs, Texas. Many are starting to ponder the thoughts of gun control and how much we need it. Should we ban guns? This is a common talking point I've seen recently, as well as the talking point of trying to make guns extremely hard to buy in the first place. My goal today is to show that we do not need an all-out ban on guns or even extreme vetting of guns. However, it does seem that we do need some regulations that need to be put in place. To do this, we will first look at just how many guns are in America and look at the crime rates associated with guns. Next, we will look at the regulations currently in place to see just how hard it is to really get a gun in America. Finally, we will look at how mental health has played a role in the gun violence we see today. Now, before we get to that, I should say that I have been around guns my entire life. My family has been hunting for as long as I have been alive, and I also have friends whose parents own a gun shop back home. I even have a small collection back home, and guns are just so commonplace from where I'm from. Everyone I know has one. Everyone I know hunts. But to get back on track, while some may believe a ban on guns is something the United States should do, however, it can be seen as a pipe dream that would never happen. According to PewResearch.org, more than a third of Americans have a gun in their household. Besides that, they estimate that there are anywhere from 270 million to 310 million guns in America. Compare that to the population of the country, that is roughly 1 gun per person currently. With that many guns in the country, it would be extremely difficult to confiscate them. Not only that, guns are not as huge of a problem as people think they are. We tend to skim over the fact that most gun deaths are typically suicides. The New York Times posted an article by Margot Sanger-Katz called "Gun Deaths Are Mostly Suicides," which looks at a few statistics that are not very well known. One of those stats is that more than 60% of the people who die from guns die by suicide. Suicide is also the second most common death between the ages of 15 and 35 in America, according to the Center for Disease Control. It seems we may have more of a mental health issue here in America more than guns, but we'll get back to that. By the way, just how hard is it to get a gun in the United States? Well, it really depends on your state, but overall, the general consensus seems to be that it is easy to purchase a gun. While I can agree to a certain point, most of the regulations put in place can make it quite difficult depending on the gun you want. For example, to purchase a pistol in Nebraska, you must be 21, and you will also be put through a background check, and you will also have to buy a purchaser's permit. This permit can get somewhat expensive, and it's around $100. However, if you have a concealed carry permit, according to Nebraska law, you must not be prohibited under federal law of possessing a firearm. You must also be a resident of Nebraska, and you must submit 2 sets of fingerprints, pass a series of eye examinations, as well as pay a fee of about $100, similar to the purchaser's permit. These are just many steps in a state like Nebraska that is very lax in gun control. And states like California, who are way stricter, typically can have a wait list of 5 years to even get your permit. So how should we put more regulations on guns, or do we even attempt it? Well, one area that everyone can agree with is that mental health plays a major role in gun violence in the United States. While this link has not been seen in many of the mass shootings, it has been linked to gun violence via suicide. With more than 60% of gun violence coming from suicide, it is clear that we do have a mental health problem that does need addressed. During the Obama administration, there was a movement to change policy to make it harder for people with mental illnesses to get a gun. This was one of the last gun control regulations I wanted to see put in place. It seemed like a good idea, however, the new administration has revoked the policy, so mental evaluations are not needed in order to purchase a gun. While this policy may not have stopped everyone with certain mental illnesses from getting a gun, it most likely helped prevent a number of suicides, as it made it more difficult for those people to get a gun. While the gun control debate rages on in America, it is hard to figure out what is the right course of action. America has so many guns in it that an all-out ban seems quite far-fetched. It can also be harder to get a gun than what most people think it is. The new administration has also revoked regulations put in place that were there to keep guns out of the mentally unstable. If there was any need for regulation, this is the only area I see that needs it. Thank you.